So, with respect to housing, I mean, this is really the big cost pressure that people are feeling, whether it's just trying to get into sustainable housing from a cost perspective, and renters are also feeling a lot of pressure. Look, we have to build more housing in California, and I think every community is doing its best to try to do that. But the state, I think, can actually be even more helpful as a partner to our local officials. When we talk about housing, I also like to think about, how do we as a state attract business development so that we are actually bringing the job opportunities into communities where we're building housing. And so that I think is a big part of how we can also drive the economy and hopefully get better paying jobs into areas where we do have housing for employers to think about where their workers are going to be. But housing I think about in two very basic ways. One, land where we build and where we can optimally build, and land that frankly isn't going to cost us. So if there are public lands that aren't being utilized, state government owned lands. If there are lands in blighted areas where we can actually build housing to improve upon those areas, those are the opportunities that I think we have to look at how we build. We could do reuse, adaptive reuse, preservation of existing housing, and what more we can get from our existing housing stock while we're looking at building new ones. So supply is going to drive costs down. So we have to really focus on that. And then I do want to acknowledge renters. We have 44% of Californians who are renters, and they're feeling the pressure because of the lack of supply of housing. And so I think rent stabilization and rent control is really needed just to be able to keep communities intact so that we're not seeing a lot of people just getting displaced. Well, I think there is a continuum of options in terms of how we can address the homelessness issue. First, I want to be hopefully very clear that the complexion of who is unhoused today is much more complicated. We have, yes, the population among those who are unhoused who have chronic mental health and substance use issues, and and that will be a population that would continue to look at focusing resources on. But we have a lot of people who are actually working and can't afford their rent. So my approach would be to try to get as much assistance to them so that they can actually get into housing as quickly as possible. I think intermittent supportive housing is critical. We're seeing successes with that around the state, where, yes, where encampments are, we're actually standing up just these tiny units that are fairly inexpensive to build, but at least people can come in, have security, have their belongings. But that way, we're actually able to focus services on that particular population and hopefully get them back into housing much more quickly. And then lastly, I would say with respect to homelessness, we need coordination. We need to know, what the state and the counties and the cities are actually going to be doing and what they're going to be leading on. I think we've had a lot of dollars being deployed for homelessness, but the coordination hasn't been there. And so if we have the coordination, I think we can actually set up a continuum of these services to where encampments, being homeless, then getting into intermittent supportive housing, getting into more permanent supportive housing, getting into hopefully some stable rental housing, and possibly even all the way up to home ownership.